This is my wither skeleton farm built in my 14,000 day hardcore Minecraft world. The build is in the center of a 278 block hand dug perimeter and is decorated like the iconic Cloud City scene in Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back.
No, I am your father.
No! I started this project over 2 years ago and it took about 6 months to dig and build in hardcore Minecraft. This farm was designed and tested entirely in hardcore and generates over 7.5 stacks of wither skulls per hour. So if you like my builds, make sure you check out the streams. I'm live 6 nights a week. So I'm here in a backup of my hardcore Minecraft world where I have the wither skeleton farm to show you guys how it works. What I've done is I have replaced all the decorative blocks with barrier blocks, so everything is still there and functional, and I can get in there and show you what's happening. I'll start here at the entrances that you can't see, and I want to show you the process of using the farm. First, up to the right is where you actually go for the kill chamber. So I have a manual override that I created when I built this because I kept forgetting to like turn off the redstone timers and stuff like that, and it could break some of the piston tapes when I would leave the area or relog from the world. So I just have a manual override that forces everything off and doesn't allow any wither skeletons to enter the area with the chute. So that way they can't drop down on me while I was working on redstone and figuring out the issues. So right now it is off, so we need to set it to open. So that way the gates upstairs will open and you just saw a whole bunch of them drop down. And then we step forward onto this pressure plate trapdoor combo. This actually sends the signal to turn on the piston tapes and start pushing the wither skeletons in here. When you use this farm, it's pretty important to fill up your inventory with something because you do stand within range to pick up the items, and you can see because I'm in creative, it's just sucking them into my inventory and deleting them. I've swapped out this pressure plate with a wooden one so that I can do this and show you guys the redstone while it is active. But the next part of using this is what I want to show you guys down here is the storage. All of the shulker boxes of coal make their way to this end and fill first, and then they could continue all the way over to there. All of the shulker boxes of bones start this way and they could fill up over to that way. And then this is the corner that the wither skeleton heads started. Lastly, the staircase to the left is where you can go to fill in your empty shulker boxes. So yeah, they start draining from the right and work their way that way. It's also where the iron door is to let you access the redstone area. This is really weird walking around with barrier blocks, I'm gonna be honest. Regardless, let's get up to the top and I wanna walk you through the process of this redstone contraption. Let's turn on mini HUD overlay and we can see that this is actually a dual intersection. I have mini HUD in the Colonel pack, which I use for a lot of my builds for figuring out dimensions and things like that. I'll have a link to the Colonel pack in the description below. So I got my original inspiration for the shape and the dogs layout from Logical Geek Boy. I'll have his video in the description as well. So our platforms take up the entirety of both of the intersections, and there are 3 layers total using every single spawning space. And we have 5 dogs evenly spaced across the middle. When a wither skeleton spawns in the middle, it will be afraid of the dogs and run away from them towards the edges, where they will then see the golems as another incentive and try to run through them. We have the trap doors here that they think they can walk over, and they try getting as close to the golems as they can. They do have another layer of trap doors here to prevent them from actually making their way over, but this was really handy in the building process as I could have these closed and run away from the wither skeletons that spawned and they would not be able to follow me. So they could spawn on any of these 3 layers and they will fall down this same chute through the trap doors onto the honey blocks. They fall onto honey blocks because we need the ones from the top and the ones from the bottom to take a similar amount of fall damage. Honey blocks reduce fall damage but don't completely negate it, so the ones from the bottom probably take no fall damage where the ones from the top take a little bit. This repeater here comes from that manual override and it shuts all of these trap doors, preventing any new wither skeletons from falling in. making it safe to work on the redstone down here. The next thing you'll see here is the piston tapes or mob pushers. This is a design I got from Your UAV. I'll have his video linked below as well. Each of the 4 corners have their own hopper timer that will trigger these to go at the same intervals and move the wither skeletons along down to the center. Once they get to the center, they will be within range to see the piglin who's up here sitting in a minecart. There's also some walls over to the right and some fences to the left to try and get them into the exact right spot to fall down this drop chute. The drop chute is inspired by a video from Ilmango. I'll have his video down below. The wither skeletons are also on blue ice to allow them to move a little faster when they're walking on their own power. Once they fall down onto the chute, they land on these honey blocks, again taking damage, but not enough to kill the ones that spawned on the top. They actually are left with half a heart exactly, whereas the ones that spawned on the bottom have a couple hearts. What that means for the player is that you have to use a sword that's strong enough to one-hit the skeletons that spawned on the bottom that have a couple hearts left. I walk around daily with a netherite sword with smite 5, and there is a strength beacon here. I don't know how much of that is necessary, but like I don't think it would work with a wooden sword. Once you kill them, their items will land on top of these honey blocks, and there is a minecart hopper that is going underneath and looping back. I had to pick all those up. To quickly get rid of all the items and get another minecart out there, we have a system that breaks the minecart and places it back down and sends it on its way immediately. And that allows all the items to then fall down here onto the blue ice paths and be sent over the hoppers. Each of these hoppers has a filter for whatever is relevant for the side. Once it gets picked up by a filter, it moves it down and into the shulker loader, where the shulkers get picked up by this hopper and moved all the way down to this end, where it'll show up in this chest first, all the way to the left. Then it will, continue going and filling up all the chests. I know to a lot of you, this level of overkill for chests of a shulker loader is probably a bit surprising. I don't call my series Massive Minecraft for nothing. And it's also necessary because of the sheer amount of coal that you could be seeing go across the blue ice, that it could fill up multiple filters at once to where there is coal making its way all the way down to here into these filters. And it was important to have more filters than could ever possibly have the number of items coming through, because each filter has to have a minimum of 41 items in it. So that means it can only hold 23 items in each filter. So as we get an entire stack of coal, it puts a quarter of that into one filter, a quarter of that into the next, and so on and so on. And if we get 4 stacks of coal, that's going to populate most of these filters. I'll try to get some replay mod footage to show how far the items go over these filters to give you guys a visual. Now, it's not the same for the wither skeleton skulls. You can see we've never even have one make it to the second filter. But I did the same thing because I got wither skulls to burn and it looks cool. Lastly, the third side is for bones, and it's exactly the same as we did for coal. And anything that doesn't get picked up by the filters goes into lava, like the swords. So because this farm was designed with looks in mind just as much as functionality, there's a lot of extra redstone lines running to lights that turn on when you have the farm active, and to the manual toggles that are needed because I built this in hardcore to make sure it's safe for me to work on it if there's a problem. But that's the core design of all the redstone and why I have what I have here. Now, I built my wither skeleton farm in my hardcore single Minecraft players, but this should be totally fine to build on a server as well. If you're in need of a server, I want to just shout out Bisect Hosting, and that you can use code Colonel for 25% off of any of their servers. I'm back in a fresh copy of the hardcore Minecraft world, and this is how you enter the farm. In the nether tunnel system that I had that already existed and was already fully decorated, we later found the dual intersection that happened to be very close to it, and rather than adding excess turns and routing the tunnels around, we just simply adapted the design to be somewhat a bit Star Warsy. So this is made out of just gray paneling that you would see a ship being made out of in Star Wars, or that's what we were going for, along with big windows to look in. And in the center, we have our doorway to enter into the farm. You do have to have wings to fly into here. But the first thing I hope everyone notices is the walls in the background. This is designed to look like the scene from Empire Strikes Back that I showed at the beginning of this video, where we have all these sparkly lights and red lights and things like that that just make an amazing, stunning background. And I think this came out really well. The next part I want to talk about is actually the beacons, or the lightsabers here. So we needed to have beacon effect coverage while I was building it, and just to have strength while I'm fighting the withers. So each of the beacons we put in is modeled after a different lightsaber. This one here is the classic Vader lightsaber. If you're not familiar with my streams, Anakin, his whole arc is my favorite part of Star Wars. And what we actually did to make these fit is blew up some bedrock at the bottom of the world to allow us to sink these beacons in to be just one layer above the void. So what you'll notice is the bottom of the world and the top are both pure bedrock that's been flossed and removed all of the netherrack, all the soul sand from it, to give us this really cool, rugged, voidy vibe. I am using vanilla tweaks in the Colonel pack to get a different texture for bedrock because I hate vanilla bedrock. I wish Mojang would give vanilla bedrock the same treatment that they did to vanilla netherrack and overhaul it, because those textures, in my opinion, at least the OG netherrack, looked a lot like bedrock. And if they overhauled the bedrock, I could maybe use it. But for now, we got this nice clean one. Lastly, the building that is around the Wither Skeleton farm is designed to look like the building that Vader and Luke had their classic fight on. This is as close to as I could represent it in Minecraft. I obviously took some liberties and made it a bit more blockier. We didn't make it extend all the way to the ceiling because we needed to show off the farm. We spent ages on this and I didn't want to completely hide it away. But we do have over here on the little walkway the classic scene with Vader using custom player heads and dyed armor against Luke, about to lose his hand. You know the deal. This actually happened that we finished this farm, the entire completion of this concluded the day after my subathon that I had in 2022, where the top gifter and top cheerer were Mr. Magoo and Gods. They each got to be one of these two armor stands in the very top of this build, being Vader and Luke themselves. You've probably seen that I have quite a few armor stands in here named after various viewers. Whenever I finish a project in my hardcore world, one of the things I do is I open up a channel point redemption for just that last stream to let anyone who's there redeem an armor stand, get it named after themselves, design it how they like, using various in-game heads or their own player heads if they've redeemed that, just to spruce up the builds and allow the community to be part of this. So there is going to be a world download in the description if you want to check out the redstone of this build, and I appreciate everybody waiting for me to get around to making this video. It took me a while to feel confident to make it because of just how great this project was in the hardcore world at the time, and life just gets in the way sometimes. But huge shout out to everyone that made it to the end of the video. You guys are amazing for watching this through. If you want to see more of my builds, make sure you check out the streams. I'm live 6 nights a week, most of those in this hardcore Minecraft world. And our current project is an equally massive, if not larger, build in the overworld of my island bases with custom biomes. We have 2 biomes left, and I'm hoping to get you guys a video on those really soon in the coming months about that once it's finished. If you're not familiar with my hardcore world and this is the first you're seeing of it, make sure you check out the latest world tours. The 11,000 day world tour is very quick and shows you the highlight reels. The 10,000 day world tour was a huge milestone, and that one goes into depth of all the projects and is very long, 2 parts. So if you want to see more, that's another place you can go. And lastly, thanks to all the YouTube members, Twitch subscribers, and subscribers on all the other platforms. You guys keep it so I can keep making content, and I appreciate that so much. Before you leave, make sure you subscribe and drop a like on this video, and I'll see you next time.